When a woman's body was found in a cassava farm in August 2021, nobody expected that the person behind her death would be the one man who promised to love and protect her forever. This is the heartbreaking story of Nneka Kalu, a successful businesswoman whose life was cut short by the person she trusted most, all because of greed. On August 29, 2021, residents of a community in Afikpo South local government area of Ebonyi State made a terrible discovery. They found a decomposing body of a woman in a cassava farm in their village. The community was shocked and immediately reported the finding to the police. The woman was later identified as Mrs. Nneka Kalu, a businesswoman who lived in a nearby town in Abia State, which shares a border with the community where her body was found. She had been reported missing days earlier, and her family had been searching desperately for her. Now, with this horrific discovery, the family's worst fears had come true. But what would shock them the most would be the details on how she ended up dead inside that cassava farm. After receiving the report from the community, officers from the Nigeria Police Intelligence Response Team began their investigation immediately. They started asking questions, talking to people who knew Nneka, and trying to piece together what had happened in her final days. The investigation team worked carefully, following every lead and every piece of information they could find, and what they discovered would shock everyone who knew Nneka and her family. The police investigation led them to arrest 4 suspects. The names of those arrested were Eme Kalu, Irem Ifeanyimba, Igwe Chima, and Okori Okam. All 4 men were between 25 and 40 years old, and they were all from the same village, which was Nguzueda, in Afikpo South local government area of Ebonyi State. But the most shocking part was the identity of the first suspect. Eme Kalu was not just any suspect, he was Nneka's husband, the man who had stood by her side and also taken part in her life. He was now being accused of being the mastermind behind his wife's horrific death. As the police dug deeper into the case, they uncovered a disturbing truth. Nneka was not just an ordinary woman, she was a very successful businesswoman who had worked extremely hard to build a life of comfort and security. She reportedly owned houses, landed property, had money in the bank, and also ran a thriving business. In actuality, Nneka had achieved what many people could only dream of. But sadly, her success would become the very reason for her own tragic death. According to the police investigation, Eme Kalu wanted to inherit all of his wife's assets. He wanted her houses, her land, her money, and her business. But there was one problem. Nneka was alive and well, enjoying the fruits of her own hard work. Eme knew that it would be very difficult for him to claim possession of all her assets while she was still alive, even though he was her husband. So he decided to do something truly terrible. Eme decided to kill Nneka so he could take everything she owned. To carry out this ugly act, he knew that he would need some help, so he decided to hire 5 other criminals to help him execute the murder. These men would help him stage a kidnapping that would eventually end in his wife's death. The plan was simple but wicked. Eme would lure his wife to a specific location by telling her to meet him at a junction. He told her that he had something for her to pick up for the house. It was a normal request that would not raise any suspicion. After all, he was her husband, and she trusted him completely. Nneka had no reason to doubt her husband's intentions. She went to meet him at the agreed location, not knowing that she was actually walking into a trap. When she arrived, the men that Eme had hired were waiting for her. They grabbed Nneka and took her away, but the men did not kill her immediately. They had another task to complete first. They needed to find out where Nneka kept all the important documents for her properties. They wanted to know where the title documents were, where the papers for her houses were kept, and any other information about her possessions. The men forced Nneka to give them this information, and one can only imagine the fear and confusion she must have felt, realizing that her own husband had betrayed her in the worst possible way. After the criminals got all the information they needed, they strangled her to death. Her body was then dumped in the cassava farm in the village, where it would later be found by residents. During police questioning, the suspects revealed the details of their crime. They explained how Eme had approached them with his plan, how they had lured Nneka to the meeting point, and how they had killed her after getting all the information they needed about her assets. The investigation showed clearly that Eme was the principal suspect, the mastermind who had planned everything from the beginning. He had wanted to fraudulently and hastily inherit his wife's wealth, and he was willing to kill her to get it. The three other arrested suspects, Irem Ifeanyi Mba, Igwe Chima, and Okori Okam, had all played roles in executing the murder, but the police revealed that they were actually 5 criminals hired by Eme, meaning that 2 more suspects were still on the run. Following the arrest of the 4 suspects, the police announced that they were working hard to find and arrest the remaining suspects who were involved in the crime. The investigation was ongoing, and the police were determined to ensure that everyone who played a part in Nneka's death would face justice. At the time, Frank Mba, speaking on behalf of the Nigeria police, assured the public that efforts were being intensified to track down all persons connected to the murder. He also stated that all the arrested suspects would be taken to court once the investigation was completed. They would face charges for their involvement in the abduction and murder of Nneka Kalu. Unfortunately, there hasn't been any updates on the case ever since then. It is just so tragic how a husband would do such a thing to his own wife. Nneka Kalu worked hard to build her success. She owned property, ran a business, and had created a comfortable life for herself. She should have been able to enjoy the fruits of her labor in peace and safety. Instead, her life was taken by the very person who should have protected her. Her story is a tragic example of how greed and betrayal can lead to unspeakable evil. It reminds us to be careful about who we trust and to always stay alert to the possibility of danger, even from those closest to us. Knowing how slow a justice system can be, we can only hope that justice was fully served and that Nneka's family found some measure of peace, knowing that those responsible for her death were held accountable. What are your thoughts on this heartbreaking case? Share your views in the comments below. And if you found this story informative, please like this video, share it with others, and subscribe to this channel for more true crime stories. Thank you for watching and stay safe.